If you believe your product or service can fulfill a true need, it's your moral obligation to sell it. When I first read that quote, my reaction was like, sure, bro, whatever you tell yourself to sleep better at night. But if you're going into a supermarket and I'm hungry for an apple and the supermarket says, sorry, only if you want the apple. Are you sure that you want the apple? Do you want to test it first? Or like, only if you fully resonate with it. You put all these weird filler words in it. It's the same thing, right? It's helpful to look at it really transactionally. Like, hey, do you want an apple? It's either yes or no. I don't take it personally like, oh my God, you don't want my apple? That's not good enough for you. It's like,
Hey guys, we're back for another episode, and I am joined today by Ben Harris, a fear coach. If I got that right, I don't think I've ever heard of that before, Ben. So I'm excited to talk to you today about what that means and your journey into coaching. But I love to start these episodes off by, first of all, thanking you, but also asking you what the problem was in your life that was just like so big that you figured it out so well that you could be like, I think I could coach people to do this. I think I'm so good at this now that I'm going to go help other people. Was that your entry into coaching? Because some people are just like, I'm a professional coach, it's fine. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe the fear thing has a personal aspect. So would you tell us that story?
dang, hold on, Kurt. I got to say first, thanks for having me. And then two, that's a fantastic way to ask the question. So shout out, dude. And yeah, I mean, it's a mix of both, right? I think all of us as coaches, I don't know about all of us, but all the people that I've worked with and talked to, we just know it's who we are. So yes, of course, there's the element, right, of like I've always like I was the guy, like I was the manager at work, like I had a corporate background before, and my 10-minute, check-ins turned into hour meetings because I just was like asking about their life. And you can go back to the history of like even in my childhood, like that's just who I've always been. People have always felt safe with me. Um and I've always wanted to, make an impact and help people. But the coaching thing and the fear thing, they're different but tied together. So if you remember in March of 2020, do you remember what happened?
There was something. Uh, it's kind of weird, I think.
I can barely remember, but
Yeah, it
yeah, so
wasn't that big of a
obviously the
deal, I think.
world shut down because of this thing called the pandemic. And so that's when I transitioned into coaching. So it was 2020 and I was in a meditation and the fear guy came into my awareness. And it was like, boom. And I asked, am I on the right path? And I got yes. And before that, I was doing a different business model. I wasn't in coaching. I was like adjacent coaching, but looking back at it now, I can tell you I was too afraid, right? The imposter syndrome thing was like, who am I to be a coach? Blah, 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 blah. And so I would bring in coaches. I would, bring in special experts and guests and all the things. But I really hadn't fully embraced that coach identity yet, or my authority in that way. And so in March of 2020, what happened is that lightning moment came through where I was just like, okay, like this is what I'm doing now. And so I rebranded. And then within, a couple of weeks, I signed 4 clients. So that's obviously a good sign, right? Of someone who's never done this professionally before. And then all of a sudden I get this download and it's like, yeah, you're the fear guy now. I was like, okay, cool. And then it just works. Obviously it's a timing thing, right? Of like, it's March of 2020, everyone's afraid. But if you look before that, to answer your other question of like, what was the big problem? I do have a natural inclination to do the scary thing. That's just also who I've been. I've always been drawn to, which I know a lot of coaches probably resonate with this too, right? Being the hero. So it's like whatever drew me to that, which is also a shadow aspect of ourselves too, by the way. But that's what really drew it to me. And so it was when I was 19, yeah, on my 19th birthday, one of my friends who I used to rap with. So the side story is that I used to be in a hip hop group. And then, so when I was 19, he gave me a book. And the premise of the book is that in order to be successful, you have to be fearless. And so from that moment, literally, that from that moment, I dedicated my life to do everything I was afraid of. And so I just started doing it. It was just like as clear as day of like, okay, if I want to be successful, then I must do the scary thing. It was just that simple. So I started to doing it. In that moment, it was music at first. It was like, okay, I got to get on stage because I was terrified. And I want to go downtown into the city and rap for strangers. That's terrifying. Okay, we're going to do it. And then it went to, work things. It went to university things. It went to relationship things. And then I started seeing it all paying off. And then about 10 years later, I saw, oh, this is what I'm good at. And not everyone else is really good at this. And then that's the moment I kind of put all these things together of like, this is naturally who I am. I have a skill, but at the same time, I have to take that leap. And that initiation is like what, doing the scary thing over and over and over. And I have many stories of doing the scary thing, but that's like the initial moment.
Man, okay, that's such a unique angle, and maybe you would know other people in the space, but like I don't think I've ever heard of someone who's specifically the guy who targets fear. Like there's probably a lot of people around there to be more confident, but to actually tackle the scary thing. Like I feel like maybe we'll go from meta to actual conversation because I know I said we're going to talk about the meta side of coaching, but I think this will at the very end maybe we'll come back to doing those things for coaches because I know a lot of people are coming in like I can't post that
Yeah.
or like what if I get on this call and I say that it's $5,000 to work with me and like that's too scary. So let's just put a pin in that, guys. If you want to actually
Mhm.
learn how to get through and do hard things, and do scary things, what do you have a couple of like favorite scary stories? Like those, the ones that you mentioned are good, so I'm not saying they're not, but I'm just curious as to other things that people can be like, holy smokes.
Yeah. I mean, so the one that, the general story that tends to make people their buttholes clench up, I guess we'll say, like is before I quit my job. So in 2019, I invested 40 grand into crypto. It was like one of those moments where I made all the safe investments in my life. And I was just like, you know what? I know I've heard that if you want to be wealthy, you got to take big risks. So it was basically, me putting it all on black. And long story short, it started paying me like a monthly dividend. And so that's what helped me get the courage to quit my job. Like I was still like when I quit my job, I didn't have a business plan. I wasn't a coach yet. I didn't have any recurring monthly revenue. Like, and everyone told me not to do it. Or they cautioned me or questioned me, rightfully so, because it was very delusional. But I just had a feeling that I knew this is what I wanted to do. And so quit the job and I feel somewhat more safe about it because I have that recurring dividend. And then 2 months later, I found out that it's a scam. So now I'm jobless, like 40K in the hole. So that was again another scary thing because anyone in their right mind would be like, okay, now I go get a job again. That wasn't my thought. you know, my, I asked myself the question, what do I want to believe? And the answer to that question was I want to like learn how to make 40K, but through my own efforts, right? Not just through quote unquote luck. And so long story short, that's what happened. And then another scary thing too, it's ironic because yeah, I called myself the fear guy for like 5 years, 5 years probably. And then about a year and a half ago or so, I let that title go because I realized um it was limiting. And so yeah, it's ironic that it was scary for me to let go of that. But why it was so scary is because that was my identity. Right. I was getting praised for that. I was getting seen for that. People were paying me for that. And so there are all sorts of fears of like, well, what if I let this go and no one knows who I am anymore? But that was the medicine that I needed to really dive deep into like, it's like, okay, if your entire worth or value is wrapped up in this thing, then it's time to work through it.
Man, I relate to that big time. I got a similar identity download in my last business when I was doing dad work coaching. And the things that I thought I was like the guy at fatherhood, marriage, working with men, whatever, business. I walked into a mastermind group in Colorado and it was for people who were dads, who were business owners. Like it was just such a Venn diagram of all the things I thought I was good at.
Uh,
But all of these other guys were like actually better than me at the things I valued most about myself. And I just like, what am I now? And that was the start of actually stepping away from dad work because it started with that wrong identity.
mm,
I didn't want to let that go. I was dad work Kurt. And when you as the coach oftentimes become the product in a
Yep.
sense. People want the life that you have, people want whatever you have, and you're kind of selling yourself. And so it's very easy, I found, to find that identity issue. Maybe let's just camp here for a second. You want to talk about what that was like and then working through that? Because it seems recent enough that you've got a little bit of post, a little bit of pre, a little bit of the middle. What was that like to be like, man, identity was totally wrong. I worked through it. Now where are you?
I appreciate that question, dude, and thanks for sharing your aspect of it too, because it is like it's not really that shared, right? Because you're right, it is like as the saying goes, right? As you are your business, and right, and it's like especially when you're someone like me or the people that I work with, we have such a high value for authenticity and for integrity and for caring and for being honest, and so it's like when you come to that crossroads, it feels like yeah, not only like the who am I now, but it's like shoot, like do I still do this? Like, do I still say this? Do I still charge for this? Do I still? And so it feels, yeah, kind of like daunting and like in this big gap or void that this crevice you have to jump over. And for me, honestly, dude, is one of the slowest transformations I've had in my life. Like, usually things happen pretty quick for me because I do have that aspect to me where I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, I get it. It's scary, but I'm just gonna go and like do it because I know what's on the other side of fear is freedom. But this was slow. It was like painfully slow of like kind of getting farther away and then snapping back and then kind of going and like inching away, inching away, inching away. And ironically, like how we met, LinkedIn has been a big help in me letting go of that because in the pandemic, like I built an audience of like 90,000 on TikTok, like 20,000 on Instagram, and that's where all my business and community was. Um, and I kind of dabbled in LinkedIn here and there, but I was never fully in. But I just noticed like I was kept being called to it. And so, and what I liked it about so much, it was like fresh. Like there was no pre-identity, right? Like no one really knew who I was. And so I just could play and it's like what felt good. And so, yeah, I did some like, I tried like, do I want to be like a dad? Like, do I want to focus on dads? Do I want to focus on building businesses? And like where I've landed now is more focused on authenticity. So helping people share authentic content with confidence, which is what I've ironically helped people with the entire freaking time, right? Is because, when it's, oh, a fear coach, and then obviously people know, what am I afraid of? Oh, I'm afraid to speak my truth. I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of blah, 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 right? And so it's already what I was helping people with. And this is the strategic part beyond just like the intuitive part of why I wanted to let that title go is because like yeah, like I am a fear coach, like I'm not hiding that, but using that as like the main thing is not like the desire, right? It's not the promise. It's more of the how, and like you have to get over the fear to get the thing. And so more so focusing on what is the promise. That's more of the strategic side of it. And it's definitely like worked and helped and been much more clear. But it is kind of cool to still have that fear coach thing because like you said, like no one's heard of it. So it's kind of like, ooh, I want to know more.
Yeah. And it's something I know we can all relate to. And we've, dude, speaking of looking similar, that's what Ben said when we got on. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, we kind of look like bros.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff in our paths that are similar as well. Like we have always, my wife and I, just done things super quick. It's like, oh, we got the thing, we understand the thing, we implement the thing. Oh, that's just how we are
Yeah.
now. And it's challenging because number one, it's pretty unrelatable, I've found. Like I didn't know this before, but I'm like, why do we keep like I don't know, seeming like we're farther ahead than friends now, who we just met a couple years ago. And there's a huge judgment piece in that for me. So I got to, repent of that. But I totally relate to this whole thing of like suddenly you're this other one. And then there's the slow burn and you know the right answer. Same with dad work, man. Like I knew for 6 months. Like I knew. And I just wouldn't do it because of the fear, because of what if they judge me for doing this? I'm doing all these amazing things. People are paying me. Why would I stop doing this? They're going to think I'm an idiot. I don't have another job to go to. I didn't have another business to go to.
Yeah.
All of these things. And yet, in pursuing truth and freedom
Yep.
and authenticity, like you said, I have to do the right thing.
Correct.
And so there's this moral streak, I think, in me that's like, I just got to do the right thing. And the right thing is typically a thing that like I know is right, but I don't want to do. And so I think that's very powerful, number one, to bring to your clients if you're listening to this. And number two, to think about that in your own coaching journey. Because I hope by now, it's been 50 minutes of this podcast, you're kind of getting, if you've listened to the other 10, 11, 12 episodes already, you're understanding that like coaching is not just some random like, oh, it's an amazing business. Nothing ever goes wrong. You just like, people pay you to talk to them. You don't have to work very hard. You can work wherever. Like some of those things are true, but there's also a lot of like emotional heavy baggage that goes along with that because of the industry. And so like part of my job with this podcast is like, guys, understand that. Don't be shocked when these things are challenging your identity. And also let's use them to then help your clients potentially, because you're going to be able to then speak to people who need to go through what you've gone through. So anyway, I hope you guys sort of get that from our conversation. I want to maybe jump back around a little bit to this beginning part of the conversation, but I do want to touch on the business. And I know like I would really like to talk about just the emotional side of things. That's kind of who I am as a coach, and I'm sure you
Yeah.
too. But I do want to talk about like business brass tacks now. Maybe just take us to today, and then as we go, I'll ask some questions about what was it like before. So the way I like doing this is kind of focusing on leads, sales, and distribution.
Cool.
So how are you finding clients? And then we'll talk about like, do you have sales calls? Do you just do DMs? And then we'll talk about like, what does your actual program look like? Or what does it look like to work with you? So do you want to talk about leads, finding clients, finding customers, what you're doing now, and maybe the progression that's led you to here?
Yeah, dude. So in a simple way, right, is like, of course, there's been so many different ways, but right now, and it's funny, you helped hold me accountable for this because I just finished a free 5-day email course, and I was like, I want to finish this for Kurt, right? So I can have something to put out there because I've done a million lead magnets, right? Like all of the things, but this is the thing that feels most aligned and that I'm most excited about to like offer people because it's basically what I've learned and just ultra simplified. And so, yeah, what's happening now, right, is like, yeah, people reach out to me on LinkedIn. Like, yeah, I might, like, I still have conversations and stuff like that. And like, I have relationships I don't invite people to. Um, but I've liked LinkedIn for that too. Like, definitely the quality of leads, the type of people, and who knows if this could change, right? But it's not oversaturated yet. So, and they're not bludgeoned to death with freebies, like if you do like on Instagram or whatever. So, like, I just launched it yesterday, and like, I saw some guy download it like within minutes, and he was a new follower because I just updated my profile with it, right? So, like, even as that is cool, and that's why I like LinkedIn so much, is because like I'm just posting what I want to post, and of course, there's like strategy behind the post, but like it's me and it's real, and then it attracts people, and then it's like, okay, you want this thing, you go and download it, and then what I in the call to action at the end of this free course is actually the serve call that you and John Meese talked about, and I sent you a DM about this, but I implemented that right away. I'm so glad I saw that episode because it changed a lot. Like the conversion has increased, and it's funny because like I'm basically doing the same thing that I've always done, but just labeling it as a coaching call, it changes the energy. Like, yeah, I've switched up the questions, and actually, it's funny. I'm being less deep, and people are saying yes more. And so it's my identity, or I guess my limiting belief before that was like, is this really a coaching call? Like, I swear, like I'm a lot deeper than this. But to these people who are coming in right with the right frame of mind, it is a coaching call, but it's not too much or too heavy. And so then, right, the invitation is natural. And yesterday, I didn't even have to say anything. Like the person asked, like, what programs do you have? So even that is nice. And so I'm saying all this because this is how I've always wanted to do it, is more attraction based and more service based. And I've like dabbled in it, but it feels like it's really starting to like hit that stride, at least for now, right? Of like attraction based. But of course, I've done DMs. I'll do workshops. I'll do like a workshop once a month. I have a newsletter. Um, but usually the leads will come from a workshop or my newsletter. They'll book a call and then we'll sign up, or I do group coaching too. So that's how most of them come through.
Okay, so when you're doing, so I'm gonna sort of put the LinkedIn thing in its own bucket here because it's coming to fruition now. It's working.
Mhm.
You're just posting. You're getting some inbound. You're having relationships, which I totally agree. I'm going all in on LinkedIn now because it's so clearly so good for at least my personality and the people I want to work with. But when you're doing other things like workshops, building your newsletter, you're running ads to that. Is that off the back of Instagram and TikTok still? Where are those people coming from?
Yeah, so mostly Instagram and LinkedIn now. So it's just and there's no ads, just pure
Just
organic.
organic.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay, that was a lot of mine as well. I did really like the 5-day challenge and the 14-day email course. I think it was too long. And I also had the same sort of thing, which is like, I'm going to give you everything. It's
Yes.
going to be so deep. You're going to like not even know which way is up when you go and like turn back to your family because you're like, oh, I just unlearned everything I never knew. And it's been shocking as well to realize that like you have to meet people where they are. And it's very rare to be like all deep all the time. So
Yep.
again, I'm like I feel like I'm Elon Musk learning how to be human. Anyway, it's been challenging.
Yeah.
So okay, you've got Instagram, TikTok, in the past at least, bringing in people just for organic content, which is awesome. Love doing that myself. You've got LinkedIn. You're posting content again. You're just building relationships. So this is the culmination of 5, 6, 7, 8 years of work by the sounds of it, and
Yeah.
5 years since COVID at least for this particular version of it. So that's one thing to note, guys. Like it can take a while to build up, but I'm sure you were also doing a lot along the way because you had to, because you were 40 grand in the hole and you had to make it work right away. So like
Yeah.
it can work quickly. And also it usually works better, at least for how you feel about it and how people are coming into you if you don't quit by the sounds of it. Has there been anything else lead wise, bringing people into your world that's been really valuable you want to touch on? Or is it basically content that's good? And if it is just content that's good, maybe talk about what content is good.
Yeah. So content for me, I've always loved creating, right? So going back to even the music days, like, because I don't believe that you have to create content. Like when people ask me, do I have to? I'm like, no, you don't have to. But do you want to? Right? And it's like, do you like sharing your message? Or, and it could be in a podcast, right? It could be any type of social media or YouTube. But the people that come to me usually want to do it, right? But they're just afraid of doing it. And so content works really well for me. And then podcasts. So I haven't done as many podcasts in the past year, but a lot of clients have come from podcasts in the past because what typically happens, in the past at least, is without knowing it. I'm not saying we're going to do that here, but I end up like coaching the host. And then that's kind of like, oh, wow. And then it's like, I usually get a few inbounds from that too.
Oh, that's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Sales, you were just telling us that you're doing serve calls, so it sounds like that's the new thing.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on there? You're just giving a call, asking some questions, getting to the bottom of things, and then being like, hey, by the way, if I could help you with that. Anything else that's important on that? Like, are you sending follow ups? Is there like a funnel involved?
So as far as like, there's no funnel like beyond that. I mean, like you could look at my newsletter or like any other freebie or resource that people take part of. Like, yeah, there's like funnels to that. But in this current moment, it's like the past few months, I've been getting a compliment that I never thought I would get, which is like, Ben, how'd you get so good at sales? Like, I never ever thought I would get that because that's not who I am. Like, or, the stereotype. But like, once I started digging into it, I'm like, oh yeah, like I am really good at this. I'm like in a natural, non-pressured way. And so I actually did a workshop about it last month because I was like, I know there's a lot of people, again, like this is a skill that I've harnessed over the past 5, 6 years that I used to just cringe at. Like I did not want to sell at all and ask people for money. And especially when it's your service. It's not like you're selling a vacuum cleaner unless you really love vacuum cleaners, you know? But when you're selling yourself, when you're selling your services or a course that you made, it's a lot more personal. And so there's a lot more baggage behind that, again, working through the fears and doubts and things. And so, like, even teaching like sales has been like super fun.
That's super interesting, man. I have always had that in the back of my head as well that I'm not good at sales.
Mhm.
I don't like to talk to people about that. I would rather do anything than be like, "Hey, would you like to buy my thing?" Like,
Yeah.
gross. And I'm really doing a lot to rewire that right
Mhm.
now. Specifically, join this cohort on LinkedIn with Darren McKee, who's social selling. He's just like a really good dude who believes in what he sells.
Yeah.
And he shared a couple of things that are basically like, look, if you could help someone, you'd kind of be not doing the world justice if you kept that from them because you're scared, essentially.
Yep.
And so that's a really interesting sort of point to bring together here. But I've also found that so much of sales for me is, again, just like being myself and coaching and being like, dude, I'll just help you if you want. Like, if this doesn't make sense to work with us, you can still send me messages. And maybe that's dumb. Maybe that, like, makes the close rate lower or something like that. But it doesn't feel like it because all of the things that are happening now are, again, culminations of working over the last number of years online, building relationships, talking to people, providing value. So when you get in the call, you're like, look, I can help you. And also, if it's not the right time, like whatever, but here's why I think it's useful to work together. And it's just so natural now.
Yeah.
I don't like the prospecting necessarily. I do like content. I do like inbound. I don't like outbound so much. The sales thing can be really fun if you can start to just like help people and not feel so needy about it. And so that was a big thing for me during dad work. When it first started working, I was like, oh, this is amazing. A lot of money was coming in. And then the summer months were down because dads are away and whatever, making like 2 or 3 sales a month rather than it was like 8 or 10 at the beginning of the year. And suddenly I was like, I need this to work.
Yeah.
And I started clutching and it wasn't as good because I would want to take any guy who even wasn't a good fit for the program. And so I think there's a lot in there fear-wise,
Yes.
all over the place to sell yourself, to like have enough money, to have enough trust, to have enough, all that kind of stuff. So is there anything from that workshop that you think would be useful for people to come away with as they're listening as coaches who are like, man, sales is not my thing?
Yeah, I appreciate that, dude. I mean, yeah, because it's like the name of the workshop was like selling doesn't have to feel cringe. And because it's like it is like it's usually a self-worth or a value thing, right? And a lot of good-hearted people believe that it's like it's manipulating to like follow a script or something like that. And like I get it, right? There's a lot of weird scripts out there that are not like necessarily beneficial or I guess in integrity. Like of course there's like anything, there's good and bad everything out there, but like for me is there's something important that you said, and I put this in the workshop. It's a Zig Ziglar quote: if you believe your product or service can fulfill a true need, it's your moral obligation to sell it. And so it's like when I first read that quote, my reaction was like, sure, bro, whatever, you tell yourself to sleep better at night, But like you really is like, if you think about it, right, of like, if you're going into a supermarket and I'm hungry for an apple, and then the supermarket says, nope, sorry, like, only if you want the apple. Like, are you sure that you want the apple? Like, do you want to test it first? Or like, only if you fully resonate with it. Like, you kind of put all these like weird filler words in it. It's the same thing, right? So for me, it's been really helpful to look at it like just really transactionally of like, hey, do you want an apple? It's either yes or no, right? It's like, yes, I'm hungry
That's so
for it.
good.
It's like, I'm hungry for an apple, right? And it's like, no, it's like, I don't take it personally. Like, oh my God, you don't want my apple? It's not good enough for you. It's like, but that's again, our own inner work of like what it's triggering.
Man, that's a really helpful frame, actually. And yeah, because some people too, like even the people who have bought from me for this podcast thing, for example, I'm still in the back of my head. I'm not as confident about it as I was for coaching because I've been doing that for a lot longer. So I'm like, are you sure? Like, and it's great. Like we're doing a good job. Go read our testimonials. I swear we don't suck. But it's still one of those things where I'm like, okay, you want the apple? I've got an apple, or maybe it's not an apple. Not everyone. I don't know. I've got like I don't know, what's a weird fruit, like a star fruit or something. Sure, I've got a kumquat, and some people want those. And okay, I guess I sell those now. So anyway, that's actually really helpful, and I'm going to sit on that for a little while and just try to depersonalize some of that, and also realize that it's okay then to talk about what I do, because the people who want that are like, oh, dude, I didn't know there was this new kumquat stand there. Like, sweet, let's go check it out. That's really helping me, even as I go through this myself. So thank you for that. Okay, leads, sales. It's all organic. It's all natural. You're sort of doing the things. You're adding some strategy behind it. You said a couple times strategy, which is awesome. So I want guys to hear that. If you're in the flow, if you like to be more in the flow than you are like, I don't know, writing everything down and having a system, great. And there's a reason that certain things work. So don't go too
Yeah.
wishy-washy, I'll say. I've also tried to do that myself and just felt into everything. And it was like, okay, maybe I can't trust all my feelings. Anyway, let's go into delivery now. Cause I'm curious, you said you
Yeah.
had some group, do you have one-on-one? Like what's your, I guess, main thing and what other options do you have and how are you bringing people into those?
Yeah. The main thing is one-on-one. It's pretty 50-50, like one-on-one and group. Like I love doing groups. But it's more like, do you want to do one-on-one? And then if it, you know, maybe they just want to do more group or maybe it's a price tag thing, then they'll jump into the group. I have a course that I developed, like, the thing, it's called Fear Alchemy, which is, I mean, it's awesome, but courses aren't so much a thing anymore.
I know, isn't that weird?
They can be, obviously, right? It's like digital products are still a thing, but like, I think it's, I don't know, like, I don't want to say that I'm not some wizard, but I think it's only going to get less, right? Of like, if I can ask ChatGPT for something, right?
Yeah.
Versus like if I can feel connected and with someone, which I'm actually like glad about. Like I really do love coaching. Like of course, um, it's still like time based, but like I really do love it. Like I don't think I'll ever stop it, even when I'm like, my goal is to do like more speaking and yeah, like scale group coaching and stuff like that. But there's something just different about one on one. It's like you're in it, and like a lot of even market research is in there. So I don't want to say never, but I don't believe that I'd ever like even stop one on one coaching.
And what does that container look like in a one-on-one setting?
So 3 months, 8 sessions, and then you get messaging support through me. We go through the Fear Alchemy course that you get access to, but also it's all tailored. So it's depending, like, yeah, people are very similar, right? They're coming to me for the same outcome, but it's tailored for that person because someone might like a kumquat, someone might like an apple. We all have different tastes, and so it's tailored for that person in their unique situation. And I know that's my differentiator. Like people come to me all the time of like, oh my god, I've done this training and that training and worked with this person, but it's like they haven't been willing to get to the root, and so that's what I help really specialize in. Because even the same things that you're saying, right? Of like I might know the answer or I might have the logic, but you don't have the feeling to back it because, like, for many reasons, right? A lot of us were taught not to feel, and so it's like helping people identify what their root is, and then that's where the freedom comes from.
Hey, coach, real quick. If you're listening to this, you already know the power of podcasting. My first year with my group coaching program, almost every single one of my clients came from listening to the podcast. Not from ads, not from cold DMs. I literally did zero of that. Just deep, trust-filled conversations that built authority. So if you're a high-ticket coach and you want to learn how podcasting can help grow your business, book a free coaching call with me. Go to proclaimpodcasting.com/coach to book a call. That's proclaimpodcasting.com/coach. I offer one free coaching call to anybody who needs one. Now, back to the episode. Yeah, that was so much of what I wanted to start with in dad work. One of the reasons I actually started in the first place, because there's a lot of that stuff out there, and I was sort of in some of those groups who were talking about that, really the core and, all the stuff that stems from that. And I wasn't seeing it for dads. And I was like, dude, as a father, at least, and this is, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but this is just fun for me. So like, it's my podcast, guys, relax. I was, as a dad, like, you've got your own stuff, you've got your own core wounding typically, and most, a lot of that can be related to your father.
Yeah.
And then you are watching yourself create that in your kids, and you're like, oh my goodness, if you got awareness to that, it's actually pretty trippy. And you're trying to sit in this place to like deal with your own stuff while you see it cascading down. And I think as a coach, maybe the reason I'm talking about this is because it's so important to get there rather than to be a slinger of tactics. And I think, like you said, coaching with the experiential aspect will become even more important than it already is. And like you said, it's already super important. But as we live in this fake world online where everything could be generated, even like video and audio to some extent, and within a
Yep.
year, like easily,
Yep.
it's going to be so much more impactful to have the real connection. And I think it will drive a lot of people who are otherwise course creators into coaching. And I think the risk of that, as I've seen it over the last 5 years already with marketers, is that suddenly coaches are no longer coaches; they're just information gatherers or marketers. And that's one thing that I just want. I don't know how we're going to deal with that. People just have to, caveat whatever the buyer beware one is. Because man, if you can do some tactics, but you cannot help someone actually get to the core root of their problem, they're just going to keep having that problem. And it's like a band aid until they actually figure that out. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you for dealing with my little veer off because I'm very passionate about getting the core of things.
Yeah.
What about like over the last year and a half, I think you said, going from the fear guy to who you are now? Have
Yeah.
there been any huge challenges? Have there been any things that were really scary that you had to get through that you haven't talked about? And
Yeah.
I want to talk about this because a lot of the time with the market and with coaching, you're making pivots. You're seeing what people are responding to now. It is different over the last 5 years. Like I've really, really noticed that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, as you with some experience and wisdom in this space now move into things, what were some of those roadblocks, pitfalls, whatever that you had to get through to sort of reinvent what you're doing now?
Dude, it is. Yeah, it is like it obviously is different in the 5 years, right? But it's like, and I was actually thinking about this yesterday, and it kind of freaked me out. I was like, man, if I was just starting, I'd kind of like that kind of suck. And I know that might be like a negative down point, but then I was able to reframe it, right? Of like, I actually think that's a good thing, right? Because it's like you don't have any habits, and you can come and disrupt things. But like, I still think, dude, like along those same lines is like, there's always room for the best, and like that's just how business is all the time. Is like, coaching isn't unique in that way. Like any industry is going to be disrupted, and you're going to have to adapt or die. Like that's just how it is. And so that's how I look at it. Of like over the past 5 years, I've definitely had to adapt. I've done different group topics. I've done different courses, different workshops. But the major lesson that I learned um, is is the classic advice that we all get, right? Which is niche or niche down. And I thought I was, but I actually wasn't. And I actually have a LinkedIn post coming out about this next week or the following week. And the hook is just going to be like, it took me 6 years to find my niche. And of course, right, is like, I was like, why I want to talk about this is because I was still getting paid while I was figuring it out, right? Is like, and it's a constant refinement process. Like we're on our own journey at the same time, and there's so much pressure to have it all figured out. Whether you're just quitting your job or you are trying to do it on the side, like there's so much pressure behind it. And so it's like, I would just always come back to your truth. Like, what do you actually want to do? Because you're probably trying to copy someone, and like Kurt mentioned before, right? Of like, yeah, like things work for a reason, but like if you just copy exactly what someone does, like it's probably not going to be the thing. Like I can't tell you the hundreds or thousands of people that have borrowed things from, and then like, made this blob, of just like all these different pieces that like you don't even know what it looks like, but for me it works. And so much of what I've done, right, is like even my own inner work, because it's like then I can discern whether something is for me or not. Like if someone were to tell me like this is the only way, like like last year, right, the beginning of 2024, the hot thing, and it still kind of is, right, but like 6 second reels, just post 3 6 second reels, and you'll hit it, and like I felt it for that for a moment, but I'm like that's just more like false promises. Instead of like just focus on what your thing is. What do you love? Like what can you help people with? Like that's for me like what I've really focused on, and I love helping people with, because it is so easy to get caught up in just like the noise of it all. Um, and I think this was like 2 years ago. I actually unfollowed everybody on Instagram because I noticed it doesn't happen to me on LinkedIn for whatever reason. Um, but like, and honestly, I don't even consume a ton. Like, consume in general, I've just gone internal. because I noticed my preferences were being filtered by what was being shown to me. And so I was like, nope, I got to remove all that and just like, what is my thing? Doesn't mean I don't learn or go read a book or, I mean, I just mentioned Kurt's podcast with John Meese. Like that was a golden nugget. You know what I mean? That like, but then I already tailored some things on theirs on his script that he mentioned, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, I forgot what your initial question is, but that's some of
This
like,
is way better. I was thinking about, I was meta like, oh, that was a terrible question. So I'm glad you saved me from that.
okay,
So I'll just like edit out what I said and you just roll
okay,
with it. So I appreciate that.
yeah.
I do want to close this out with a little bit of a touch of what you actually do. And I think that could be super helpful. So it sounds like you just did that 5-day email course on sort of getting over the fear of posting. Is that what it was?
So it's getting over the fear of posting and more specifically, authentic content.
Okay.
So
Do you want to
it's,
touch on that a little bit to help people who are like, I probably have a lot to say, but I'm not feeling like I can actually press publish?
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as like what you just talked about, even like with selling, right? Like, oh, do they really want it? There's some lack of confidence or insecurity, right? Or belief that's preventing you from doing the thing. Here's another example. I'm like a master at consistency, but why I was so consistent is because I believed if I didn't show up, then I'd let people down. So I wasn't showing up authentically. I was really trying to show up for what people liked. And as coaches, I'm guessing because we want to help people, a lot of you listening are probably people pleasers, right? So, or what's going to fit the algorithm, or and we get stuck in this engagement game instead of just being like, "Yo, what is your resonant truth?" Um, a lot of people get caught in this tension of what I call authority versus authenticity, and so right, they're trying to be the expert, but then they oscillate with like, "Oh, that doesn't feel good. I want to be authentic." So it's like you can be both because your authenticity is your authority. And then another one of those tensions is like relevance versus resonance. And relevance is just like, I want to be liked. Like one of my clients before was, they were saying to me, I just hope someone notices. Right. I mean, that's a deep thing. Like we all want to be seen and recognized and feel important. And so the course is going to help you identify. It's not too much, like me and Kurt talked about. I intentionally kept it a light version, but it's not tactics at all. It's like inviting you to get uncomfortable so you can identify some of the things of like, why am I not showing up in the way that I want to show up? And then giving you some prompts and things to practice showing up authentically.
Okay. Excellent. Can you, trying to think of, I want to be coached by you in the last 5 minutes here. I'm trying to think about what my
Rapid fire.
big fear
Right.
is right now.
Kurt, where were you triggered in the past day?
In the past day? Oh my goodness. That's a good question. I'm so chill these days, man. I've done so much of my inner work. I actually never get triggered anymore. That's a lie. I mean, mostly it was my mostly it was my eldest son. I'm trying to think of like a business thing. Um, I don't know. Let me think on this for a second because we can cut this all out too.
I mean, it
Um,
can be a business thing. I mean, unless you don't want to share about your son.
yeah, I don't know. How do you? Let's work that in. Okay, let's do there. Let's do the uncomfortable thing. Yeah, so I think that right now my oldest is like 12 going on 17. And that's hard for me because he's becoming very forceful. He's becoming his own person, his own man in a small sense. And there's a lot that's coming to the surface with that is like, dude, this is the thing that got me into dad work in the first place. This is the thing
Yeah.
that like saved my life is caring so much about this, but it's still there. There's still some part of me that's like, dude, just like the things you're doing could be unlikable, and I don't want you to be unlikable. And so let me crush it out of you now so that you
Uh,
don't get the actual feedback down the line because it was so painful for me to learn that lesson. So I think that's where like a huge part of my quote unquote triggering these days happens is let me just control you so you don't have to learn the hard way.
mm. I mean, that's beautiful, dude. I don't even, I mean, I don't think you need coaching on that. Right. Because,
I'm
because
just
that
struggling
is
through it,
it.
dude. I don't know.
But that's the thing, right? Is like that's the truth in the sense of like like but that's what so many people are afraid to admit is just like what you said. I was like, because how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel disappointed in myself. It makes me feel worried for him. It makes me feel guilty because I know better. And it is honestly, because I've sat in this for a long time, like I'm okay with it. I've sort of come to grips with the fact that I'm not going to be perfect and I can't be perfect, and that this is his journey as
Yeah.
much as it is mine. He needs me as a father in the same way I need him as a son. And so that's been wonderful, but it's just that constant tension. Um,
Like, what is the tension though? Like disappointing him, or what is the guilt?
oh, just being an asshole.
To
Like,
him or what?
yeah, the way that I do it is often just like it's more than he needs. But that's my way of things. I'm very harsh. I have been very harsh, and I'm less harsh, but still too harsh on him specifically, and not the other ones. But I think he's
Mm.
just, and I mean, this is all my own sort of dad work coaching work. Like he's reflecting back to me the parts of myself that I don't love seeing,
Yeah.
but those are like his strengths. And so I'm very uncomfortable with that. So anyway, I don't know how this helps people with coaching or podcasting or selling or whatever, but that's the truth of it.
But that's, I mean, that's the thing, dude, is like, um, I mean, I believe it does help people because again, like to me, that's what I'm after, right? Is like, it, to me is like the truth. And like, to me that like, cause yeah, people are here for something, right? Is they want an apple or a kumquat, but it's nice to know that that apple or kumquat has a personality,
Yeah.
you
That's
know?
dude, that's what I'm learning on LinkedIn right now too. Everyone's talking about like here's how you do it, but the guys who are actually doing it well are just like, yeah, you're supposed to be yourself to like a weird degree almost, what you wouldn't think of on a business social media
Yeah.
place. And I think that's again going back to that AI content, whatever, um, real human experiences, service experiences, in person things are going to be the luxury items of the next 10, 20
Yeah.
years, I think.
Which is great
And yeah,
for
exactly.
me and you,
It's
because
gonna,
that's probably our
yeah,
strength.
exactly. But I think the hand will be overplayed, where all this stuff is so good online, and then we're gonna be like, this is kind of like pointless now. Let's go back to being in our communities. And so anyway, that's my hope is that it's not all doom and gloom. We're actually gonna like wake up from this and go talk to people in real life. Anyway, this is kind of a weird rambly last bit, but I appreciate you going there with me. Where can people find this little 5-day course that you've got, which is not too intense, but intense enough for you to actually get some results? And then, wherever else you want to send them.
Yeah. So you can go, I'm guessing you'll put links in the show notes.
Yes.
Yeah. So go in the show notes to get the link to sign up for the course. It's called Authentic Voice Accelerator. Follow me on LinkedIn. Um, Shoot me a message if this with your with the part that resonated with you the most. And maybe it's Kurt's little moment about you and your son because it's like that's an important piece too of what you just shared of like because like that is business, right? Like it's all related to the same thing. Like people don't see how like business is related to other things, but it always is. It's always related on how it reflects on our value or our significance or our worth or whatever it is. It's like it's always reflecting
Hugely.
back.
Well, thanks for that, man. I appreciate that affirmation and encouragement. And don't flame me in the comments too hard, guys. If this has been valuable to you, yeah, it's okay. Like I said, I never get triggered anymore. I've done so much work. I'm untouchable now. Anyway, share us, share us. There's so guys, you don't even know. There's been so many like little edits in here that I've screwed up, and I'm gonna go back. So you're seeing this one now. But if you like this, do all the things, but mostly follow Ben, talk to Ben, check out the rest of the episodes by subscribing on YouTube. This has been the Real Coach Show by Proclaim Podcasting. We'll see you next week.